Have you ever been called stupid, foolish, naive? You remember that sting, the way your chest tightened, your throat closed. Your mind went blank. Hours later, you replayed it again and again, building the perfect response too late. That moment felt small, but it wasn't. Every insult that attacks your intelligence cuts deeper than words. It pierces your identity. It challenges your self-worth. And in that split second, you either shrink or you rise. Most people react with either silence that tastes like defeat or anger that proves the attacker right. Both are forms of surrender, but the Stoic sees a third path, a path of mastery. The art of responding with control so powerful, it silences the entire room. You're not here to fight with emotions. You're here to dominate your reactions. Because the real insult isn't what they said, it's how easily they made you lose yourself. When someone attacks your intelligence, they expect one of two things, your rage or your retreat. Either gives them power, but a Stoic never gives power for free. The first counter is simple, precise, and deadly calm. That's an interesting point. What makes you believe that you don't defend, you don't justify, you make them explain themselves. You turn their arrogance into exposure. When you ask that question with composure, the air shifts. Suddenly, they're on trial. Most people who insult others aren't armed with truth. They're armed with emotion, projection, insecurity. By asking them to explain, you force them to face the emptiness of their own claim. This isn't sarcasm, it's control. Marcus Aurelius taught that reason is the ultimate weapon of the disciplined mind. Every insult loses its venom when it collides with composure. So next time someone mocks your intelligence, breathe deeply and say it. That's an interesting point. What makes you believe that? Calm voice, steady eyes, power reclaimed. Weak minds argue with emotion. Strong minds demand reason. When someone calls your idea stupid or dumb, they expect you to crumble under the heat of embarrassment. But the Stoic refuses to burn. Instead, you use their flame to expose the hollow core behind their confidence. You look them in the eye and say, "Help me understand your reasoning. What specifically do you disagree with?" That single question slices through arrogance like a blade through fog. It shifts the burden from you to them. Now, they must prove their claim. Most can't. They'll hide behind vague cliches, tone, or mockery, but you hold steady. Patient, calm. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If they can show you your error, gladly change. But if they cannot, hold firm." This is your shield and sword combined. You either learn truth or reveal emptiness. Either way, you win. You never react emotionally. You lead intellectually. That's how respect is earned. Through logic, not noise. When someone sneers, you clearly don't know what you're talking about. Don't rush to defend yourself. Don't list your credentials. Don't fight for approval. The moment you try to prove your worth, you've already given them control. Instead, take a breath and deliver the calmest counter possible. That's an interesting assumption. What led you to that conclusion? Notice what happens. The air thickens. Their confidence wavers. You've flipped the power dynamic without raising your voice. You've forced them to confront their own ignorance. Epictetus taught, test every impression before granting it your belief. The Stoic mind doesn't accept another's judgment blindly. It questions it with reason. Most insults are built on shaky ground, a mix of ego and presumption. By calmly shining light on those assumptions, you reveal what's weak beneath the noise. You don't defend your intelligence. You let their lack of clarity expose itself. Remember this. Assumptions rot in the light of calm questioning. That's how you win without fighting. When someone throws a personal insult, they're not debating your idea. They're revealing their insecurity. The Stoic doesn't descend to their level. He observes, then responds with surgical precision. The next time someone cuts you off mid-sentence with, "That's stupid," or "You don't get it," don't react emotionally. Breathe. Look them directly in the eye and say, "I find it interesting when people lead with personal attacks instead of addressing the point. Silence will follow." Why? Because you just named their behavior. You made it visible. And once exposed, it loses its power. You've pulled the mask off the attack and shown everyone watching that you see through it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." This response embodies that truth. You don't fight. You don't flinch. You stay calm, detached, analytical. Then, if you wish, add, "I'm still open to discussing the idea. What part concerns you most?" You've just reclaimed authority through emotional mastery. The highest form of strength is calm indifference. When someone mocks you, hoping to drag you into their storm. Don't step into it. Let their words fall like rain on stone. The final counter is the purest. I appreciate you sharing your view. That's it. No defense, no sarcasm, no reaction. You acknowledge their words without accepting their judgment. This is not weakness, it's transcendence. Seneca wrote, "It's not what they say, but how you respond that defines you." When you respond this way, you train your nervous system to stay unshaken. You communicate that your self-worth isn't up for negotiation. Imagine this. Someone mocks your idea at dinner, expecting you to flare up. Instead, you smile, nod, and continue the conversation as if their insult were nothing more than background noise. The entire room feels the shift. The attacker looks small. You look untouchable. True Stoicism is not coldness, it's disciplined warmth. Power contained within peace. Every insult is a test of ownership. Do you own your emotions? Or do your emotions own you? Most people are slaves to their triggers. One comment, one tone, and they crumble. But the Stoic trains differently. You don't let another person's chaos dictate your state. You remain the gatekeeper of your inner fortress. Epictetus said, "No one can hurt you unless you allow it." That's not philosophy, it's a weapon. The moment you react out of anger or pride, you've handed control of your peace to the very person trying to steal it. But when you stay centered, they lose their grip. This is emotional sovereignty, total authority over your internal world. You learn to pause before reacting, to question before believing, to breathe before responding. You're not here to win arguments, you're here to win yourself. Every calm reply, every composed breath, every silent glance is proof that your spirit is stronger than their provocation. A Stoic doesn't hide from conflict, he controls it. When someone disrespects you, you don't match their tone, you master it. Calm confrontation is the art of standing your ground without raising your voice. It's not weakness, it's power under control. When the other person attacks, let your stillness become the loudest thing in the room. Look at them, breathe slowly, and respond with logic, not heat. Could you clarify what you mean, or what part are you referring to? These phrases are daggers wrapped in velvet. They cut through emotional noise and demand clarity. The Stoic warrior doesn't fight to be right. He fights to remain calm. Presence alone disarms chaos. Seneca said, "Anger, if not restrained, is more destructive than the injury that provokes it." Calm confrontation means you win twice. Once externally by maintaining respect, and once internally by keeping your peace intact. That is dominance, measured, deliberate, unbreakable. Every verbal attack you face is an opportunity to sharpen your discipline. Most people spend their lives dodging criticism, terrified of judgment, but a Stoic welcomes it. Why? Because every insult reveals where your ego still hides. When someone mocks you, don't just hear the words, observe your reaction. Does your heart race? Do you want to prove them wrong? That's your ego demanding validation. And ego is the first enemy of mastery. Marcus Aurelius said, "When someone blames you, ask yourself if what they say is true. If it is, correct it. If not, let it go. Either way, you win." Every insult becomes feedback, either to refine your skill or strengthen your detachment. The Stoic doesn't crumble, he converts pain into precision. Every harsh comment becomes a mirror reflecting where control is missing. Use it, train with it. Let every insult become another rep in the gym of mental strength. When the world insults you, it's showing you a reflection, not an attack. The weak avoid mirrors, they fear what they'll see. The Stoic, however, looks directly into them. Every criticism, fair or unfair, becomes a mirror revealing a weakness to strengthen or a trigger to master. When someone calls you naive, ask yourself, why does this sting? If it hurts, it means part of you doubts yourself. That's your work. You don't need to argue with the world. You need to confront your own fragility. The Stoic uses pain as feedback, not punishment. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, if it's endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining. This is the mirror discipline, accepting every emotional response as data, not drama. You can't control what people say, but you can control how deeply it pierces. The moment you can stare at your own discomfort without flinching, you become untouchable. Pain loses its power when you stop running from it. A true Stoic doesn't need to shout to be heard. His composure speaks louder than any argument. Detached dominance is the power of staying calm when others lose control. Picture this. Someone tries to humiliate you in front of others, raising their voice, twisting your words, baiting you to react. Most people panic or lash out. You don't. You breathe, you pause, you lock eyes, not with aggression, but with unshakable stillness. The silence becomes your ally. People feel it before they understand it. The aggressor starts to shrink beneath your calm. They realize they can't move you. Seneca said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." In that pause, you own the entire exchange. Your restraint becomes authority. Detached dominance isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about mastering expression. You respond when you choose, not when provoked. That's how respect is earned, not by volume, but by control. Calmness in a chaotic room is power. Every insult is a storm trying to pull you in. Most people get swept away because they stand too close to it. The Stoic stands back. He creates distance, mental, emotional, spiritual. When someone throws words meant to provoke you, visualize their words as smoke. It swirls, it looks thick, but it has no substance. You don't need to fight smoke. You step back and watch it fade. This is the discipline of distance, refusing to identify with every emotional spark that others throw your way. Epictetus said, "What upsets people is not things themselves, but their opinions about things. The insult itself is harmless. It's your interpretation that gives it teeth." When you step back, when you refuse to give meaning to their noise, you reclaim clarity, and clarity is freedom. The world loses its ability to manipulate you when your emotions no longer obey its commands. Stay still, watch, don't react. That's where the warrior inside you awakens. Silence is not weakness, it's precision. The untrained mind reacts to every jab, every tone, every word that grazes its pride. The Stoic doesn't. He knows that reaction is surrender. Non-reaction, when deliberate, becomes a form of dominance. When someone tries to provoke you, they're fishing for your attention. Your anger is their oxygen, so starve them. Breathe slowly, look at them once, then look away. Say nothing. Let the silence hang. It burns louder than any insult could. The entire room will feel it. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best answer to anger is silence. Not the silence of fear, but of self-control. Silence signals that you're untouchable, that your peace cannot be purchased or provoked. In that stillness, power shifts back to you. The aggressor feels exposed, off balance, desperate for validation. You don't need to win the argument, you just need to refuse to play their game. That's real strength, presence without participation. To the undisciplined mind, conflict is chaos. To the Stoic, it's a gym. Every insult, every argument, every unfair word becomes a repetition that builds strength. You're not avoiding hardship, you're conditioning yourself through it. When someone disrespects you, don't think, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, think, "This is my training." Seneca wrote, "Fire tests gold, adversity tests brave men." Every verbal assault is a chance to practice restraint, logic, and emotional endurance. You don't flinch, you refine. The Stoic warrior uses the world as a sparring partner, not an enemy. Every slight becomes a drill for patience. Every misunderstanding becomes a lesson in control. Pain becomes feedback. The more you endure with composure, the more your nervous system learns calm under chaos. Eventually, you stop fearing conflict altogether. You stop needing approval. You start to see insults as weights, and each one lifted makes your spirit unbreakable. You don't defeat your enemies by arguing with them. You defeat them by mastering yourself. The Stoic law of inner victory is simple. Control your response, and the outside world loses control over you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Every insult, every dismissal, every act of disrespect is an invitation to prove that you live by this truth. The weak fight for validation. The wise fight for composure. You win not when others praise you, but when their words can no longer disturb your peace. The Stoic warrior knows that the real battlefield is internal. If you conquer your own impulses, anger, pride, ego, then no one can touch you. The moment you stay calm in the face of insult, you've already won. They might still speak, but they're no longer heard. Your silence becomes the final word, and your discipline becomes the victory they can't take away. These 5 Stoic responses are not tricks, they are training. Each one is a lesson in power through composure, reason through chaos, calm through insult. When you say, "That's an interesting point," you disarm arrogance. When you ask, "Help me understand your reasoning," you expose ignorance. When you reply, "That's an interesting assumption," you reveal the hollow pride behind judgment. When you name the attack calmly, you rise above it. And when you say, "I appreciate your view," you dissolve the insult entirely. This is the way of the Stoic, unmoved, alert, centered. Epictetus said, "No one can harm you unless you allow it." Remember that every reaction is a choice, and every choice builds or destroys your inner fortress. The goal isn't to win arguments, it's to win yourself. So, the next time someone tries to belittle you, don't defend, don't explode. Stand firm. Breathe. Respond with strength, not emotion, because mastery doesn't shout, it radiates. Before you go, remember this: every insult, every test, every challenge is not an obstacle. It's training for your soul. The world doesn't need you to react. It needs you to rise. When you master your response, you master your life. So starting today, choose control over chaos, reason over rage, and silence over weakness. That's how a Stoic transforms pain into power. If this message spoke to you, share your thoughts below. I read every comment. Tell me which Stoic response you'll use the next time someone tests your calm. If you found value in this, gently tap the like button. Subscribe for more Stoic psychology lessons, and share this video with someone who's learning to master themselves. Thank you for listening. And remember, true strength is calm, and true mastery begins within. This is Stoic psychology.